Okay, I'm here to instill the new officers of the Hilltoppers Club, Club number 3232, and to prepare them for the challenges that lie ahead. Their collective challenge is to make and keep this club strong, dedicated to helping people from all walks of life to speak in an effective manner, listen with sensitivity, think creatively. As each officer steps forward, I'll ask him or her to hold the gavel as a symbol of leadership. Normally I would give this first to the Sergeant at Arms, but the Sergeant of Arms is not available at this time, so I will move right on to the next position. The next position is the position of Secretary. As Secretary, Ms. Heather, as Secretary, you're responsible for keeping clear and accurate records of club business, including membership records and correspondence with Toastmasters International World Headquarters and others. Do you take on this responsibility?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Would you please give Kedrick the gavel as Treasurer? Kedrick, as Treasurer, you are responsible for keeping clear and accurate financial records of club business and for seeing that the club remains financially stable. Are you willing to take on this responsibility?
Yes.
Good. I'm going to also let you hold the gavel for our Vice President of Public Relations, seeing as he's not here. But Mark, as our Vice President of Public Relations, we have passed you the gavel. As Vice President of Public Relations, you're responsible for coordinating an active public relations and publicity program. Your job is vital to the growth and success of the club. Your efforts help to attract new members. Are you willing to take on these duties?
I am.
Good. And then we will pass the club to, or the gavel to Vice President Membership, who is not here, so we will go to the Vice President of Education. And I, as also as being past President, I will take on the new role as Vice President of Education. I will be responsible for providing and maintaining the positive environment and the programs through which members can learn and grow. When I do my job well, my club will have satisfied members and will continue to grow. I do agree to take on these responsibilities. Finally, Mr. President, having been elected President of the Hilltoppers Club number 3232, you are its Chief Executive Officer and will be expected to preside at all club meetings and at all regular and special meetings of your Executive Committee. As President, you are responsible for providing the supportive club environment members need to fulfill their self-development goals, making sure that members benefit from Toastmasters educational programs and helping the club recruit new members and retain current members. Please accept the gavel as a symbol of your leadership and dedication to office. The gavel is a symbol of power and authority given to you by the membership of this club. Use it wisely and with restraint. You are a member of your team as well as a leader. A team is more than a collection of people. It is an emotional force rooted in the feelings, thought, and actions of all members with a common goal of achievement, sharing, and mutual support. Work with your team members. Create a healthy, dynamic, and distinguished club. A club which everyone will be proud. Will you, as President, accept the challenge and perform your duties to the best of your ability?
I do.
Will all members please stand? The growth and development of Toastmasters program and Hilltoppers Club depends largely upon the actions of this group. On your honor, as men and women of Toastmasters, do you pledge to individually and collectively stand by this club, live with it, work with it throughout the coming year?
I do. Yes.
We do. Okay. As the immediate president, I want to thank you very much and present the lectern to our new president, Maurice. You all may be seated. By the way, I did forget one step that I was going to do in that, and that is to give all new leaders a club leadership handbook. You may have read them before, but it doesn't hurt to read them again.
Is there any old business that needs to be taken care of? Well, I see that we have the new lectern, so that has been taken care of. And we agree to keep it here somewhere, tucked away?
Yes, we'll try keeping it here for now and see where that goes. We'll put our name prominently on the outside of it.
Okay, all right. And who will serve as Toastmaster tonight? Has that been?
It has not been covered. If you would like to work as Toastmaster tonight,
Okay, I'll do that.
because I think we're just going to do one speech tonight.
Okay, all right, no problem.
I can be general evaluator and evaluate the speech.
Okay, all right. So there is no more old business or new business. I will relinquish the lectern to the Toastmaster. The Toastmaster for tonight is myself, Maurice. And as a Toastmaster, I will review the agenda. We've been over the invocation and pledge. We've been through the induction of new officers. Now we'll go to the grammarian, and the word of the day, and the grammarian for tonight is Mark.
All right. No idea why I chose this word. It doesn't mean what I thought it meant. The word of the day is caseous, which means unhealthy, cheese-like tissue. So
Could you repeat that again, please?
it is unhealthy, cheese-like tissue. So I guess to use it in a sentence, the zombies on The Walking Dead have caseous skin.
All right.
So that'll be a challenge to use that.
Okay. All right, we thank you there, Mark. And our timer for tonight will be Heather.
As timer, it's my responsibility to time all the speeches as well as the table topics and the general evaluations. In the beginning of your speech or table topic, there will be a white light. Then around 1 minute, or in the case of the speech tonight, 6 minutes, there will be a green light. Then at 1 minute and 30 seconds or 7 minutes, there will be amber, and 2 minutes or 8 minutes red. And that's when you should stop. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you.
Mr. President, did you say you wanted to have a longer speech?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be what?
6 to 8.
6 to 8?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to our general evaluator and evaluator for the only speech tonight, and that's Lawrence.
Yes, as general evaluator, I'll evaluate the entire meeting, and as evaluator for our speech tonight, then I will try to help our speaker to improve his abilities by giving him both positive reinforcement and some things that he can work on, hopefully.
Okay.
Mr. President.
And our table topics master for tonight will be Kedrick.
My role as a table topics master tonight is to give anyone that is willing to participate in impromptu topic to speak on. Usually it's something you can express your opinion on, or if you have factual information that helps with your argument, you can include that in your speech. Table topics are typically 1 to 2 minutes in length.
Okay, at this time, we will move on to our only speech for tonight. And our speaker for tonight has been a Toastmaster for, I guess, approaching a year. And his speech topic is the cask of Amontillado.
It's close enough.
Okay. Our speaker for tonight is John J.R. Griswold.
The 1,000 injuries of Fortunato I had borne as best I could, but when he ventured upon insult, I vowed revenge. You, who so well know the nature of my soul, want to suppose, however, that I gave utterance to a threat. It must be understood that neither by word nor deed had I given Fortunato cause to doubt my goodwill. I continued, as was my way, to smile on his face, and did not perceive that my smile was now the thought of his immolation. He had a weak point, this Fortunato. He prided himself on his connoisseurship in wine. In this respect, I did not differ from him. I was skillful in telling vintages myself, and bought largely whenever I could. It was about dusk, one evening during the supreme madness of the carnival season, that I encountered my friend Fortunato. He accosted me with excessive warmth, for he'd been drinking much. The man wore motley. He had a tight-fitting party-striped dress, and his head was surmounted by a conical cap and bells. I was so pleased to see him that I thought I should never have been done wringing his hand. I said to him, "My dear Fortunato, we are luckily met. How remarkably well you're looking today. But I have received a cask of what passes for Amontillado, a fine wine, and I have my doubts." "How?" said he. "Amontillado? A cask of it? Impossible. And in the middle of carnival." "I have my doubts," I replied. "I was silly enough to pay the full Amontillado price without consulting you in the matter. You were not to be found, and I was fearful of losing a bargain." "Amontillado! I had my doubts. Amontillado!" And I must satisfy them. "You think it's Amontillado? As you are engaged, I'm on my way to Lucrezi. If anyone has critical turn, it is he. He will tell me. Lucrezi? Pfft. Lucrezi cannot tell Amontillado from sherry. And yet some fools will have it that his taste is a match for your own. Come, let us go." "Where?" "To your vaults." "My friend, no. I will not impose you in the matter. I perceive you have an engagement." "Lucrezi, I have no engagement. Come." "My friend, no, it is not the engagement, but the severe cold with which I see you are afflicted. Your flesh, it looks caseous to me. The vaults are insufferably damp, and they are crusted with nitre. Let us go nevertheless. The cold is merely nothing. Amontillado, you should have been imposed upon. And as for Lucrezi, he cannot tell us sherry from Amontillado." Thus speaking, Fortunato possessed himself of my arm, and putting on a mask of black silk, and drawing a cloak closely about my person, I suffered him to hurry me to my palazzo. We came at length to the foot of the descent, and stood together upon the damp ground of the catacombs of the Montresors in my estate. The gait of my friend was unsteady, and the bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. "The cask," he said. "It is further on," said I, "but observe the white woodwork which gleams from these cavern walls." He turned towards me and looked in my eyes with two filmy orbs that distilled the rheum of intoxication. Nitre? He asked at length. Nitre, I replied. A dangerous substance to inhale. How long have you had that cough? My poor friend found it impossible to reply for many minutes. It is nothing, he said at last. This is embarrassing. I actually didn't print out the whole speech. I printed it out on paper, but I have it on my iPad, so I'm going to finish the story. Don't mind. So, when last we spoke, I was walking with my friend Fortunato through my catacombs. It is nothing, he said at last. Come, I said with decision. We will go back. Your health is precious. You are rich, respected, admired, and beloved. You are happy as once I was. You are a man to be missed. For me it is no matter. We will go back. You will be ill, and I cannot be responsible. Besides, there is Lucrece. Enough, he said. The cough's a mere nothing. It will not kill me. I shall not die of cough. True, I replied, and indeed I had no intention of alarming you necessarily, but we should use all proper caution. Here, a drink of this Medoc will defend us from the damps. Here I knocked off the neck of a bottle which from a long row of its fellows lay upon the mold. Drink, I said, presenting him the wine. He raised it to his lips with a leer. He paused and nodded to me familiarly while his bells jingled. I drink, he said, to the buried that repose around us. And I to your long life, Fortunato. He again took my arm, and we proceeded. The vaults, he said, they are extensive. The Montresors, I replied, we were a great and numerous family. I forget your arms. A human foot, and an azure field. The foot crushes a serpent, whose fangs are embedded in the heel. And the motto? All who hurt us are punished. Good, he said. The wine sparkled in his eyes, and the bells jingled. My own fancy grew warmer from the dock. We passed through the long walls of the piled skeletons, with casts and pumpkins intermingling, into the inmost recesses of the catacombs. I paused again, and this time I made bold to seize Fortunato by an arm above the elbow. The nitre, I said, see, it increases. It hangs like moss upon the vaults. We are below the river's bed. The drops of moisture trickle among the bones. Come, I'll go back, ere it is too late. Your cough. It is nothing, he said. Let us go on. But first, another drink. At the most remote end of the crypt, there appeared another less spacious. Its walls had been lined with human remains, piled to the vault overhead, in the fashion of the great catacombs of Paris. 3 sides of the interior crypt were still ornamented in this manner, but the 4th side, the bones had been thrown down and lay upon the floor, forming at one point a mound of some size. Within this wall, was exposed by the placement of the bones, we perceived a still interior crypt, or recess, in depth about 4 feet, in width 3, and in height 6 or 7. It seemed to be constructed for no special use of itself, but formed merely the interval between 2 of the colossal supports for the roof of the catacombs, and was backed by one of the walls of solid granite. It was in vain that Fortunato, uplifting his dull torch, endeavored to pry into the depths of the recesses. Its termination the feeble light did not enable us to see. Proceed, I said. Here is the Amontillado. As for Lucrece, he's an ignoramus, interrupted my friend. and he stepped unsteadily forward, while I followed at his heels. In the niche, in finding an instant he had reached the extremity of the niche, and finding his progress best read by a rock, he stood stupidly, bewildered. A moment more, and I had him fettered to the granite. And its surface were 2 iron staples, distinct from each other, about 2 feet horizontally. From one of these depended a short chain, and the other a padlock. Throwing links about his waist, it was but the work of a few seconds to secure it. He was too astounded to resist. Withdrawing the key, I stepped back from the resource. "Pass your hand," I said, "over the wall. You cannot help feeling the nitre. Indeed, it's very damp. Once more, let me implore you to return." "No? Then I must leave you. But first, let me render you all the attentions in my power." "The Amontillado," said my friend, not yet recovered from his astonishment. "True," I replied, "the Amontillado." As I said these words, I busied myself among the pile of bones in which I had spoken before. Throwing them aside, I soon uncovered a quantity of building stone and mortar. With these materials, and with the aid of my trowel, I began vigorously to wall up the entrance of the niche. "Ha ha," he said, "a very good joke, an excellent jest. We will have many a rich laugh about it at the palazzo. Ha, over our wine." "The Amontillado," I said. "Ha ha, yes, the Amontillado. But it's not getting late. Will they not be awaiting us at the palazzo?" "Yes," I said, "let us be gone." "For the love of God, Montresor, let me go." "Yes," I said, "for the love of God." But to these words I hearkened in vain for a reply. I grew impatient. I called aloud, "Fortunato." No answer. With this, I placed the last stone in the wall. Against the new masonry, I erected the old rampart of bones. For half a century, no mortal has disturbed them. Fortunato, rest in peace. Mr. Toastmaster.
We thank you, JR, for your speech. The next on the agenda is our table topics. And for our table topics, it will be led by Kedrick.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Okay. Is there anyone that's not going to participate in table topics this evening? No. Okay. Just had to ask. Want to get that out of the way. All right, Heather, since I first made eye contact with you, here's your question. What life lesson did you learn the hard way?
Fellow Toastmasters, a life lesson that comes to mind that I suppose I learned the hard way is that people aren't necessarily the way that they seem or the way that you think they are based on what other people have told you. I remember when I was in middle school and I was in private school pretty much my whole life, and I had liked it a lot. So when I was taken into homeschooling for my 8th grade year, it really kind of threw me off when I was going back into school or traditional school in high school. I also didn't end up going to private high school, and in the beginning, I was actually very upset about that, and I didn't really like public school or the people there. But after a time, I began to realize that they weren't as other people had said that they were. They weren't really bad people. Nowadays, whenever I talk about, or whenever someone asks me where I went to high school, I always say Murphy High School. And locally, a lot of kids, when they hear it, they think, wow, that's a terrible school, I'm so sorry. But when I went there, a lot of people don't really realize that it's not that bad, especially if you're in the right kind of classes. And that's what I realized when I actually was around those kinds of people. And there's a lot of people that are really nice and worth getting to know and worth building friendships with that you really wouldn't consider ever doing that with them in the past, at least not with what people have told you, or not what they've been kind of set up to seem like when they're actually really not like that. So a lesson that I kind of learned the hard way was that people aren't necessarily as they seem. And I guess that kind of means that you shouldn't judge people before you really know them. And personally, I actually don't really mind judging people. And I know that sounds kind of terrible, but I really don't mind it because I think that it kind of builds and shapes my own opinions. But I think that from that experience in high school and everything, I learned that things aren't really structured, and stereotypes that you hear about aren't really true most of the time. So that's something that I kind of had to learn the hard way and kind of sink into over the 4 years of high school, when at first I really didn't like it, but as I grew and as I was exposed to it more, I ended up really liking my school and having a lot of friends that I would have never imagined that I would have had like friends like that. So that's something that I kind of learned the hard way. Stereotypes.
Okay. So, JR, you seem to be a pretty, what's the word I want to use? Hungry individual, I'll use that word. So, and I'm sure you're not going to take this the wrong way, but so based off of that, what motivates you to get out of the bed in the morning?
Thank you, Diedrich. I find your question really funny because I am very hungry. Usually it's in a literal sense. I literally am almost always hungry and looking for food. So most mornings it's leftovers the night before, you know. If I have a steak or pizza that I can look forward to, I'll wake up earlier and make sure to eat that for breakfast. So that's the first answer to your question, the trivial one. As for the deeper one you are asking, that's tough to answer. Personally, I'm not the best at waking up. I have a bad habit of lying in bed for a while. It's not that I can't wake up. I rarely sleep past, 7 or 8 a.m. But when I do wake up, I like to take my time and collect myself and think about my day and get things organized in my head. As for what drives me, it really depends. If it's a weekend, there might be some fun activity, a beach trip or some time with friends I'm looking forward to. I think most work days, though, it's the desire to succeed, to impress my peers and my superiors, and just to try to excel, not just get by, but really push yourself and do more than was expected. So I think that's what I'm hungry for.
Sounds good. JR? Okay. All right. So, as a small business owner, I'm sure you've been faced with this situation. So, when it comes to work or just life in general, in your opinion, which is worse, failing or never trying?
Mr. Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, which is worse, failing or never trying? In my opinion, in life and as a business owner, it is worse to not try than to fail, because failure is just the building block to success. everyone who has succeeded in life or in business or in any type of endeavor has failed at several points during the journey. When a person takes a position such as a president or a CEO or any high-level position, they have failed along the way. A lot of people who never aspired or who has never attained a great amount of success, in my opinion, a lot of people have the assumption when a person takes a position as a CEO or a president, they pretty much had things successful all the way during life and during their journey. They never made big mistakes on their journey in life. So in conclusion, it is better to fail than to not try. As long as you learn something along the way, that's the key to failure, is learning from it and then being able to move forward from there. Top master.
Thank you, Marcus. Okay, to our remote counterpart, Mark. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you.
Okay. So, and actually, Lawrence prompted me to go here with one of these questions. Given what's been going on in the world here lately. So, the question for you, Mark, is, given the current state of gun violence in America, what do you propose as a good solution?
We have to define the problem before you can come up with a solution. And if you look at where the problems are with gun violence, they're not with semi-automatic rifles or even manual rifles. If you look at the deaths in the United States by rifles, and I should say the murders by rifles, it's less than the annual murder rate of hammers. More people are murdered with a hammer than with a rifle. So any restrictions on a rifle is going to have very limited impact on gun violence in the United States. I think we have to look at what's the behavior that leads to these things. We already have a number of laws on the books for controlling pistols and the sales of pistols. We need to start enforcing these laws. I read a case late last year where they found a person in Illinois guilty of gun running. He actually illegally obtained 30 pistols and gave them to criminals. He was found guilty, but he served no jail time. He was sentenced to probation. So unless we're going to enforce our existing laws, there's no reason to create new laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, and last but not least is Lawrence, and I know you're going to enjoy this one. All right, Lawrence, what is your favorite memory from your childhood?
Mr. Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters. Very interesting question. What is my favorite memory from my childhood? I would have to say that pretty much all of my childhood was a favorite memory. I can't think of, well, you know, there's a lot of things that you do and that happen in your life that may be uncomfortable at the time. But oftentimes when you look back on them, they actually are not as bad as you would think. Now, interestingly enough, I just was reading today once again where it was put forward that your worst experiences are your best stories. So maybe looking for the things in life that are the most enjoyable experience are not necessarily always the best things that happen. As Heather brought up in her speech, going to the school with a little bit of fear and trepidation because of what people said about the school, then, you know, probably she spent time looking for people that were good, and that way she did have a good experience. By the way, my son graduated from Murphy, so a good experience there. So, but I think that my entire childhood was a wonderful experience all the way up until, well, it's when I grow up, I'll let you know when it becomes a bad experience. Thank you, Mr. Topic.
Thank you, Lawrence. That concludes our table topics portion of tonight's meeting. Maurice?
The next phase of our meeting is the evaluation. And our general evaluator for tonight is Lawrence.
Good, good. So far, our meeting has come out very well. We did get started on time. We had a good opportunity to inaugurate some of our new officers. Unfortunately, there's a few of them who are not here, and we were unable to honor them in their new position, and in fact, honor some of them in their old position. But all in all, it was a good start to the meeting, and will continue to be good as we go through this meeting. The first evaluator is going to be me. I'm going to evaluate JR's speech on a cask of Amontillado. Okay, and this was an interesting speech. I wasn't quite expecting to have the speech the way it came out, so it kind of surprised me. But this is a speech based on vocal variety. And it says to find things that will create vocal variety, and I'm sure that what he spoke did have a lot of opportunity for vocal variety. So his topic selection was very good, I thought. It did facilitate vocal variety in many different ways. I think his volume was excellent. I think his rate, I think he actually seemed to speed up just a little bit after he had his little snafu in the middle. He kind of speeded up a little bit, and he lost his rhythm. And that actually goes into organization, where if he was a little bit more organized, he might have noticed his speech was not fully printed up prior to giving his speech. Vocal variety did enhance his speech. He was expressive in what he did. I think the quality of his voice was good, and so on. What could the speaker have done differently other than his organization? Tell us what he was doing before he began the speech, because when he started out, it was like, what's going on? What's he talking about? Is he going to be giving a quote at the beginning and then doing a speech, or is he, and they really didn't know what was going on till it was almost over. What did I like about it? I thought it was a very interesting topic for this speech. And I think that the use of vocal expression and also the other vocal additions you put in there, your coughing when he was coughing and using those kind of sounds as a vocal variety was very good for this speech. Okay, that's the end of that part of the topic, his evaluation. So the next thing that we'd like to hear from is from our timer, who is Heather. I'd like to hear how everyone did this evening.
All of the speeches went pretty well as far as timing. The first speech, JR's speech, was 8 minutes and 55 seconds. As for the table topics, JR's table topic was 1 minute and 28 seconds. Maurice was 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Mark, 2 minutes and 14 seconds. And Lawrence, 1 minute and 43 seconds. The general evaluation of JR's speech by Lawrence was 3 minutes and 12 seconds.
Okay, and I'd like to hear from our grammarian for this evening. And that's going to be Mark.
Yes. So, I apologize for the word of the day. I don't think anybody used it.
Yeah, somebody did.
There you
Oh. Okay.
He used it in his speech.
I didn't catch that. I apologize. As far as grammar goes, I didn't hear anything that offended my ears, and that's my level of grammarian. Ums and ohs and filler words. Kedrick, you did pretty good with ums. I only caught 2 ums, but you had a lot of so's. So you're using so instead of so that's something to look at. Maurice, kudos. I didn't catch you with any filler words. You had a good, and being Toastmasters, that's quite a challenge. JR, I apologize again for not catching the word of the day. But you did very good with only having 1 and that was really when you had your the printout not being full enough. I think you do a good job of pausing rather than using filler words. Lawrence, I noticed I didn't count more than a couple of ums and ahs in your evaluation, but it did seem like you were using the word "and" a lot to string things along. So that's maybe something you want to look at. And Heather, I only got 1 the whole time. So good job, everybody.
Okay, very good, very good. Again, the meeting seems to be coming along very well. We're actually a little bit ahead of schedule this evening, so we do have time for educational program if you want. But that is the end of my evaluations for this evening. Thank you.
Is there an educational overview for tonight?
I can do a club leadership.
Okay, so Lawrence will be presenting club leadership.
Thank you. So, we just instituted new officers, and there are a lot of officer resources. If you guys that just became officers look in your book, in the very first section, there's a whole bunch of resources about club officers and questions that they might have and different types of things, including ethics and standards of conduct. that you might have, and other resources like stationery, templates, and other branded items. One of the things that you want to be aware of whenever you are working with Toastmasters, name, everything is branded. So you have to be very careful in the use of Toastmasters name and Toastmasters logos and such like that, because you don't want to have a situation where someone gets a bad opinion or misunderstands what the purpose of Toastmasters is. So using your name or the branding of Toastmasters in an improper way is something that you want to try to avoid. Now, of course, talking up Toastmasters is always a good thing. As I mentioned before, from our Vice President of Education and our others that worked very hard last year to help to make this club grow. And I'm really hoping that we can continue to do that. And I think the way to do that is to continue to talk up Toastmasters and let people know that there is an opportunity for them to be involved in leadership and communication through the Toastmasters organization. And the more that you talk about it, the more you find people that say, oh yeah, I've heard about that, but I don't know anything about it. You know, and it's always the same. Most people, the first thing they do is they think, oh my goodness, we're going to have to talk in front of people, and that's scary. But in actuality, it becomes a lot less than that in many ways. Now, I'd like to go through and just give a little bit of a breakdown of the district leaders that are in Toastmasters and those positions. In our club, of course, you have presidents and vice presidents and all those different positions, but we are also part of a district. And the head of our district is the district director. And this is the person who basically kind of in a similar position to a president on a district level. Then we have the program quality director, and they're pretty much in charge of all the education and training in our district. You have the club growth director. Now this person is basically PR and marketing. They're the one that's trying to bring all of the marketing ability of Toastmasters International on a district level to help all the clubs in the district to become more successful. Okay, you have the administrative manager who basically does all the secretarial work. You have financial manager who does all the financials on the district level. You also have a public relations manager who kind of a little bit is in working together with the club growth director. These both are working with public relations, with marketing, trying to get the word out about Toastmasters. You have logistics manager. This is basically the position of a sergeant at arms on a district level. He's the one that needs to make sure that any of the club or of the district meetings and all of the district materials are kept in good shape. You have a division director who is the next level down from district. So we have district, then you have division, and the division director is basically in charge of our division. And those of you who are new officers will soon have an opportunity to get on the line in Toastmasters International and go in, and you'll be able to see some different things and see the different clubs that belong in our district and so on. And then you have the area director, which is the next level down from the division. Now our area, unless there's been a new one, our area has 5 clubs in it. And thus, there's one of those clubs is a private club. It's a corporate club and corporate members only. Then you have the immediate past district directors and so on. One of the things that happens in a lot of clubs is they really rely a lot on the immediate past for guidance and mentoring of new positions. So in our club, as Mark mentioned at the beginning of the club when we were talking about the different positions that were being taken over, they always bring up the immediate past president. And part of the reason is because that's the person who, in a sense, is working in some ways together with the current president to try to make sure that there is a smooth transition, that the club can continue to grow in any way possible. So this kind of information is in this book, and I highly recommend that everyone read it. Even if you are not a club officer, I can get you one of these books, and I really hope that you will study it and become a better member by understanding the leadership of your club. Mr. I guess you're still Toastmaster. Okay. The lines get blurred.
Yes. Well, Mark or Lawrence, can you review the agenda for the next meeting, which will be July 11th?
I was wondering if we're having a long hiatus there. I didn't see anything on that. I didn't get together with you this week, so I don't think we have anything scheduled for that meeting yet. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so I have to do that. I'll have to get together with you on that soon.
Yeah, so let's pick a time this week and just do it one evening.
All right, I'm going to be out of town tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. Let's try Thursday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern.
8 o'clock Eastern, okay.
Let me see. Oh, no, that won't work. How about 8:30 Eastern?
Or how about just 8 o'clock Central?
Okay, that'll work.
Okay. All right. JR, I noticed you had a couple of speech requests that came through blank.
That would have been an error. I didn't do that, at least not deliberately.
Okay. What are your plans or schedule as far as giving more speeches at this club?
Now that Keithrick's here, I'll probably start going to Top Cats. So I would say no more speeches. I might stop by when I can, but you probably shouldn't have any speeches.
Okay. If you know you're not going to be in a meeting, just mark that you're not attending.
Okay.
That way, it won't schedule you for any roles for that night.
Okay.
And that comment goes to everybody. If you're never going to be here, please go into Easy Speak and mark that you're not.
Okay, if there's nothing else, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, sir. Thank you very much. And I wonder if they have a, let me go downstairs and see. Has anybody got a magic marker in their thing?
Alright, that must start off.
Okay,
Where's
all right.
the box? Box. So I have your number. I'm going to call you up and see how you're doing on your next speech and so on. So yeah, but he went to the acting program. That's why.
What is this?
I was in,
Everything.
Just like that. Here you go.
Yep. So there's our receipt book, because it was more thing. Receipt book's right here.
Okay.
So when somebody pays, you just write an amount, what for, their name, and then, so this is news to me, apparently this is really common in older stuff, but you gotta like use the carbon copy
He's
paper.
got his mom is
So,
learning.
You have
It's pretty good.
layers of
Film.
regular paper,
When I was in
and copy paper.
Okay.
What you do is, you put one red piece of paper, and